This is Qtv News. I am Maria Masane and thanks for joining us. First, the main local, international and sports news headlines. His Excellency President Adama Barrow will embark on a day's official visit to the Republic of Guinea-Bissau on Wednesday, 21st October 2020. He will depart Banjul International Airport at 11 a.m. The ferry service between Banjul and Barrow will be out of service for 1 month to allow GPA to dredge and construct new landers at the two ferry terminals at a cost of €840,000. The Independent Electoral Commission and the United Nations Development Programme on Tuesday signed the Elections Project 2020 to 2022. A former officer of the Gambia Armed Forces, Malik Njai alias Pacha, on Tuesday told TRRC that ex-President Jammeh had labeled him as brainwashed by the West, after he told Jammeh that he did not believe that he could cure HIV/AIDS. October 20th is International Chef's Day, celebrated every year to honor the profession and educate people about healthy food. In international news, a day after Guinea went to the polls, the country's main opposition candidate on Monday claimed victory over the presidential election. Ghana Electoral Commission has disqualified 5 presidential aspirants from contesting in the upcoming polls. And in sports, Guinean side Horaya plays in CAF Confederation Cup semi-final with only 12 infield players available because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now the local news in detail. The Gambia Ports Authority Ferry Services says effective Wednesday 21st October 2020, there will be no ferry services along the Banjul-Barra route for a period of 30 days. Normal service is expected to resume on the 20th of November 2020. QTV's Alucisa reports.
The Gambia Ports Authority says the disruption in service is because of the planned dredging and installation of new landing bridges which were procured from Damin shipyard in the Netherlands. Fixing of the ramps for both Banjul and Barra started on the 1st October, and dismantling of the existing old and dilapidated ramps at both Banjul and Barra will follow soon. During this period, vehicle owners and passengers are encouraged to use the Senegambia Bridge as an alternative route.
As at this weekend, both the pre-assembly of these ramps have been complete for both Banjul and Barra, and the equipment in terms of the crane and other resources have been mobilized to Barra end with a view to actually uprooting the existing ones from the fixtures on the ground and then try to install the new ones, starting with Barra and then later on coming to Banjul. So that's why there's this announcement to close the service for a month to allow the actual installation to be realized. $40 million was spent to procure, and it was to design, supply, install and commission these new landing bridges. So that's the whole project.
The current ramps are said to have been installed in the 1970s, and 4 decades on, the ramps have served their value and need replacement for the safety and comfort of travelers. In the past, ferries struggled to land smoothly, leaving many scared and worried. During the month's break, it is projected that the ferries will lose millions in revenue collection.
I can't say for certainty about figures at the top of my head, but we expect on a daily count to collect somewhere between $200,000 to $300,000. So in a month, close to something like 6 million at least would be lost in revenue.
The GPA management says it is quite aware of the hardship that comes with the suspension of services, but is initiating measures to ensure the safety of those who resort to using riverboats to travel from either side of the crossing points.
We have facilitated a stakeholder approach in terms of getting GMA, which is the Gambia Maritime Administration, as the regulatory body, to call up a stakeholders meeting. We had done one in the past, and this morning at 11 there is going to be a briefing session, and it involves all the state security apparatus and the pirogue operators from both Banjul and Barra to implement safety operating procedures, because the pirogues are the alternative in the interim that the ferry service is not available. Some of the safety operating procedures, key among them, are to observe load limits and ensure that all passengers are wearing life jackets, and to ensure that the operating times are only restricted within daylight hours. Added to that, the Navy and the Fire and Rescue Service have also been mobilized with a view to using patrol boats to be combing the area during the time that these pirogues are in operation, just to give passengers more comfort that safety is being observed to the maximum that is possible.
The news about the installation of new landers has been welcomed by many, following complaints over the years about long delays whenever the current landers break down. Once completed, the project, costing €840,000, will result in the smoother movement of vehicles, goods and people to various destinations. The GPA is confident that the works should be completed on or before the given date. Reporting for Qtv News, I am Aliou Cissé.
The Independent Electoral Commission and the United Nations Development Program on Tuesday signed the Elections Project 2020-2022, titled Support Project to the Elections and the Democratic Processes in the Gambia. Omar Pijalo tells us more.
The project document is centered on enhancing transparency throughout the electoral process and to strengthen the capacities of stakeholders responsible for the process. Ali Momar Njai, the chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission, said elections are very expensive, hence the reason why the government of the Gambia wrote to seek assistance from the UNDP. He commended the government of the Gambia for coming up with such a laudable initiative, while thanking the UNDP for responding. He reassured the Commission's resolve to conduct free, fair, transparent, inclusive and credible elections.
All candidates must have equal rights and opportunities to campaign without interference. The rules must be enforced fairly and everyone must respect the rules of the vote.
Yesterday, the UNDP country representative in the Gambia commended the stakeholders for the validation of the 2020 election bill, which is to be tabled before the National Assembly for enactment. The UNDP, she said, will continue to urge the IEC to stimulate and sustain the momentum of media conversation on the electoral process.
We will continue to advocate for the resources to be made available for the partners to participate in it, but also for the communities to own the process. It's not elections for only the board and the total electoral commission. This is a momentum for the Gambia processes and the Gambian history.
Noah Toure, the Secretary General and Head of the Civil Service, assures government's commitment in creating the suitable environment for a free, fair and transparent elections in the Gambia.
Political parties as well as individual voters must avoid voter intimidation and incitement to violence, and violence itself during the electoral process. The laws of the Gambia provide for redress to those who feel aggrieved or whose rights are infringed upon. Therefore, I would urge any such party or parties to use the legal and judicial processes available in the country to seek redress than taking the law into their own hands.
On the planned elections, the IEC will adopt election-specific regulations, protocols and guidelines because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Reporting for Qtv News, I am Omar Pijalo.
A former officer of the Gambia Armed Forces, Malik Njai, alias Pacha, on Tuesday told the TRRC that ex-President Jammeh had labeled him as brainwashed by the West after he told Jammeh that he did not believe he could cure HIV/AIDS. Babukar C reports.
Dr. Njai began his testimony with a narration of his military career up to his arrest and detention for 18 months without trial after the 1994 coup. After his release, Dr. Njai said he was later appointed to work at the then RVH, where he started as a registrar and rose through the ranks, eventually becoming the chief medical doctor. In November of 2006, the witness said ex-President Jammeh visited RVTH, during which Jammeh told him that he can cure HIV. Dr. Njai said he told the president that he did not believe him, but Jammeh replied that Njai was brainwashed by the Western world.
At the press conference right there at the gate of the accident and emergency, his opening statement was,
I've been
telling Dr. Njai that I can cure AIDS. But he's so brainwashed he doesn't want to believe me. That was his opening statement.
After a press conference organized by Jammeh in front of the hospital about his HIV treatment program, the witness said Jammeh gave him more than $70,000 and asked him to join his treatment program so that he could be testing the blood samples.
As far as I was concerned, he told me categorically that you're here for one reason. I'm going to treat these people and you are going to test them and you will see. What kind of medicines he was giving them? He wouldn't tell me what ayats of the Quran he was reciting.
Duma wahita ban aya la don wax ci alquran bi.
He wouldn't tell me what he was rubbing on them.
Dr. Njai told the commission that Jammeh never told him what he recites while holding the Quran and administering the treatment. Neither did Jammeh tell him the types of herbs he used in his treatment. He also testified that Jammeh gave the orders for the treatment program to be televised for everyone to see. 7 days into the treatment program, Njai said he then tested the blood samples, and according to him, nothing has changed as all the patients tested positive.
They all tested HIV positive.
After years into the treatment program, Njai said he never believed in Jammeh's treatment program. Even after being appointed as Minister of Health, Dr. Njai said he never believed in Jammeh's treatment program. As a result, Dr. Tamsir Mbow was appointed as the head of the Presidential Treatment Program. Babu Karsi, Qtv News.
International Chefs Day is celebrated on October 20th every year to honor the profession and educate people about healthy food. In the Gambia, the event was commemorated by the Gambia Chefs Association. This story by Geneva Sanka is narrated by Aliu Sise.
Since its creation by the late chef Dr. Bill Gallagher, former president of the World Association of Chef Societies in 2004, World Chefs Day has been a commemorative platform to celebrate their noble profession with a sense of pride, and this year the commitment is to the future, thus the theme, Healthy Food for the Future. This year, the Gambia Chefs Association commemorated the day with a march past from traffic lights to GTHI, where it climaxed into a symposium. Food tourism is the exploration of exotic foods, as the purpose of tourism is a growing market segment internationally, and the Gambia, with a variety of attractive and delectable dishes, can capitalize on the trendy opportunity.
This is especially important in our case for rural communities and fits neatly into the ministry's policy to develop rural tourism, for example. With their proximity to food-producing land, rural communities often enjoy a comparative advantage when it comes to serving up traditional foods. Gastronomy tourism, of course, then, will allow these communities to generate income and employment opportunities locally, providing jobs for local chefs, while also fueling other sectors of the local economy, such as agriculture.
The president of the Gambia Chefs Association said chefs in the Gambia need to be encouraged because without them, the tourism industry will suffer as food plays a key role in tourism.
As a chef, we combine ingredients just not for the taste, but also, as my Mr. Mendes said, boosting your immune system. There is also a new theory and also a new concept that's like treating people through food. So now, he who is actually giving you those treatments, if you don't respect him, won't he not poison you? He will. And here we are today, a full hall of potential chefs that will come up with great menus to boost your immune system or give you a healthy living.
The Director General of the GTHI says since 2018, the Ministry of Tourism has been trying to change and improve the recipes of food served in the Gambia tourism sector.
When I always talk to the chefs, I tell them we should not limit to visiting tourists. We should be promoting healthy eating across the board. For us as Gambians, non-Gambians, as well as for international visitors. And that is why we started this journey, the partnership with the Chef Association in 2018. And we want to continue working with them. I think if it wasn't for COVID now, we would have been publishing our second set of new menus.
In this pandemic, it is important to have a strong immune system, and eating stress-busting foods will help us through these challenging times. The world's safest way to do that is by preparing children for a healthy life. Reporting for Qtv News, I am Aliu Sise.
We will go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, the news continues with some more local news stories. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. And Sumana Jame, a member of ex-President Jame's family, on Tuesday told TRRC that Jame's HIV/AIDS treatment cured the patients. Babukar C reports.
Ansumana Jammeh, an adversely mentioned person, told the TRRC that he was serving the ex-president's mother as an errand boy before Jammeh identified him to be helping in his HIV/AIDS treatment program. His role was to give medication to the patients. Ansumana said he received instruction from Dr. Mbow, but initially denied having any contact with Jammeh concerning the treatment. He denied that patients were vomiting or had upset stomachs from the herbal concoction they drank. He insisted that Jammeh cured HIV patients.
Would you drink it?
Every day.
I drank it every day.
In
fact, I made it my tea.
The witness denied having knowledge of most of the things that happened in Jammeh's treatment program. Some of the patients had claimed that they were not allowed to go out, but the witness said that was not true. Patients were allowed to go out unescorted. The witness said he could not remember all the human rights violations that occurred to the patients and denied that some patients died during the treatment program.
Okay, let's agree something. If we produce a video of you and Yaya Jammeh, and you sitting there participating, Yaya Jammeh is giving medicine to one of the patients or massaging them, you would agree that you have lied and you go to jail. Do you agree? What I saw is what I narrated.
When put to him again that the treatment program of ex-President Jammeh was false, the witness still maintained his position that it was not false. Babukar C, Qtv News.
We will take another short break and we continue with international sports news when we return. Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is Qtv News. In international news, a day after Guinea went to the polls, the country's main opposition candidate on Monday claimed victory over the presidential elections. Meanwhile, the Electoral Commission has reacted with a condemnation, describing the claim as premature and void. Mamadou Lamin Choi has the latest.
Clouds of tension are now hanging over Guinea's election after the main opposition candidate's self-proclaimed victory in the first round of October 18's presidential election. President Condé's main challenger was speaking before journalists and cheering supporters when he declared himself victorious in the first round of votes, relying on what he said was information gathered at polling stations by his party, the Union of Democratic Forces of Guinea. Jallo's self-proclaimed victory did not make reference to specific figures to back his claim. The announcement came as music to the ears of his party supporters, and they erupted into jubilation across the country's capital with chants of victory for their presidential candidate. Elsewhere in the city, security forces fired tear gas at his jubilant supporters. Mr. Jallo tweeted that 3 of his supporters were killed and dozens injured by the security forces. Guinea's Electoral Commission issued a swift response to Jallo's claim of victory with a strong emphasis that it is not up to a candidate or a person to proclaim himself the winner outside the bodies defined by the law, describing the claim as premature and void. Guinea's government said in a statement late on Monday that Jallo's declaration of victory was irresponsible and could sow confusion and undermine peace in the country. The government further sent a warning that it could launch criminal charges against Jallo for his action. According to observers, Seludalian Jallo's allegation that President Condé could cheat his way to power, plus his latest self-proclamation of victory even after citing anomalies in this year's election, could be harbingers of a post-election discord in Guinea. The country's Prime Minister fired back at Jallo for preempting the official result, saying that it is adding oil to the fire. While the world watches developments in Guinea, it is only a matter of time in the coming few days for all to see where the rising political tension will lead for the country and its people. Mohamed Lamin Choi, Qtv News.
As health experts recommend social distancing in order to slow the COVID-19 spread, a 71-year-old man took matters into his own hands by pepper spraying people he felt got too close to him. More in this report.
Police in a statement on Monday said the 71-year-old man took social distancing to a new extreme, tweeting that there was an unusual use of the police force as the man first sprayed a group of joggers and then two cyclists. A statement from the local police said the cyclists were a couple who called the police without causing an accident. The 71-year-old told a patrolman who had approached him that he knew of no other way to protect himself and keep others at a corona distance. Police confirmed that criminal proceedings have been launched against the 71-year-old for causing dangerous bodily harm and interference with road traffic. However, they are still looking for the joggers to report what they saw to police. Since the outbreak of the pandemic, WHO has recommended for people to keep at least 1 meter distance from one another and wear face masks to slow the spread of the coronavirus. Elderly people have been the hardest hit by the coronavirus, which perhaps partly explains the man's extremist measures to stay alive. Ansmane Sonyasi for Qtv News.
The chairperson of Ghana Electoral Commission has revealed that the commission has disqualified 5 presidential aspirants from contesting in the upcoming polls, following the submission of their respective forms ahead of the elections. Here is the report.
Announcing the news at a press conference in Accra, Jean Mensah, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, explained that numerous irregularities obliged the commission to disqualify the affected candidates. The 5 disqualified over alleged falsification of signatures, among other irregularities, are Kofi Koranteng, Marik Kofi Gan, both independent candidates, Akwasi Odike of the United Progressive Party, Kwasi Bushumburu of the People's Action Party, and the United Front Party's Agienim Boateng. According to the EC chairperson, cases that border on allegations of forgery of signatures and manufacturing of endorses have been forwarded to the Police Criminal Investigation Department for action. Mrs. Mensah said that the 100,000 Ghana cedis filing fee would be refunded to the said candidates in line with the rules of the process. As it stands, 12 presidential aspirants have successfully been cleared to contest the December presidential elections. They are the incumbent Nana Akufo-Addo, former President John Mahama, Alfred Walker, Bridget Zobeneku, Akua Donko, Konadu Agyeman Rawlings, Hassan Ayariga, Ivory Greenstreet, Kofi Akpalo, David Apasira, and Henry Herbert Latte. Answane Sonyasi for Qtv News.
And now onto some sports news. Guinean side Horoya plays in the CAF Confederation Cup semi-final with only 12 infield players available because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The clash against Egypt Pyramids FC tonight with only 1 player on the substitutes bench. Mumru Gajika reports.
The sides meet in Casablanca later today with the winner set to face Moroccan outfit Bacon in the final on Sunday. Bacon beat Hassania Agadir 2-1 in an all-Moroccan semi-final in Rabat on Monday to book a second consecutive CAF Confederation Cup final slot. It is a very weakened Horoya who will present themselves against Pyramids FC. Ordinarily, teams are allowed 3 substitutes and recently increased to 5 because of the COVID-19. Horoya faces a tall order, trying to win a semi-final match with a depleted side. For the moment, we only have 12 infield players and 2 goalkeepers, said Horoya coach Lamin Jai. The rest of the team tested positive for COVID-19. We knew that the match would be very difficult, even with our full squad, but it's still football, so we prepare for this match. Jai added, today it will have to be played especially with the heart in relation to all that has happened. Those who will have the chance to play will first have to think about those who wanted to play this match, who dreamed of it for months before we are unfortunately bedridden. Elsewhere, Egyptian giants Al Ahly took a step closer to the CAF Champions League final after their 2-0 away win to Wydad Casablanca of Morocco on Saturday. The 2 sides will meet again in the return leg on Friday. Mamutu Gajaga, QTV News.
Before we end this bulletin, let's take a quick look at our main stories. His Excellency President Adama Barrow will embark on a day's official visit to the Republic of Guinea-Bissau on Wednesday, 21st October 2020. He will depart Banjul International Airport at 11 a.m. The ferry service between Banjul and Barrow will be out of service for 1 month to allow GPA to dredge and construct a new landers at the 2 ferry terminals at a cost of €840,000. The Independent Electoral Commission and the United Nations Development Program on Tuesday signed the Elections Project 2020-2022 document. A former officer of the Gambia Armed Forces, Malik Njai alias Pacha, on Tuesday told TRRC that ex-President Jammeh had labeled him as brainwashed by the West after he told Jammeh that he did not believe that he could cure HIV/AIDS. October 20th is International Chef's Day, celebrated every year to honor the profession and educate people about healthy food. In international news, a day after Guinea went to polls, the country's main opposition candidate on Monday claimed victory over the presidential elections. Ghana Electoral Commission has disqualified 5 presidential aspirants from contesting in the upcoming polls. And in sports, Guinean side Horeo plays in the CAF Confederation Cup semi-final with only 12 infield players available because of the COVID-19 pandemic. That's all we have for you in this edition of the QTV News. Do stay tuned at 10 p.m. for another edition. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.